Good morning. Welcome to Tuesday, the 24th of May, 2022. So we're going to be looking at three markets this morning. We're going to be looking at the euro, we're going to be looking at the S&P 500, and we're going to be looking at oil. And so what we've had out of European session so far this morning has been, let's see, a bit of a miss on the German services PMI. Broadly decent data out of the composite and the manufacturing, but then UK, well, the Eurozone wide was just a bit of a miss here, 50 on the composite PMI, 54.9, below expected 55.3. And then the UK PMI is coming out, also a miss across the board there on the composite, 51.8, below 56.5 expectation. So what we have seen is pressure on equities. There's been a gap down on Nasdaq overnight, and we've seen a resurgence of interest in the German 10-year here, the bond. So while we almost closed the gap on the SPOs last night, we just tagged the top of the gap, took a really nice push to the upside. But let's get over and have a look at the charts. Before we do that, a data to come here today is going to be let's see, at 245 manufacturing, composite and services PMIs to come out of the US, and new home sales at 3 o'clock. So without further ado, let's have a look at these charts. And what we can see is, the euro, we had Christine Lagarde talking this morning, and then we had Villeroy also talking at Davos. Now, there's been a little bit of a pullback from really what has been pushing the euro this morning. Has been some commentary out of Christine Lagarde. So kind of this forward guidance really starting to get priced into the euro, pulling that dollar back, right? And then Villeroy coming out and saying the 50 basis point hikes are not part of the consensus on the ECB, and therefore, just a little bit of the heat taken out of the market this morning. But of course, something this morning he said, well, Christine Lagarde pushed him on, well, so higher interest rates, and he said just less lower interest rates, less lower inflation, basically. So higher inflation, he said, well, less lower inflation. So basically, that was a very dovish way to handle a question like that. But nonetheless, the ECB do need to get to work. We're looking at July. We're looking at longs in the euro. I'm not discounting we may find ourselves back to test on the top of this range, 1.06 on down here around the S3 today. And we could have a beautiful trade there to line up, and we could potentially be in that trade for quite some time as we get into July. So I really like that trade for the euro. It just, you can't really be buying it and staying in it up here at these prices. If you weren't on it from when we had Christine's comments come out across the airwaves earlier this morning, you kind of, you're at a bit of risk here. And I still think we may pull back on the euro. Looking at this on the daily bars or weekly bars here, we talked about this yesterday, but essentially, good support is found here. Weekly bars, I think, target up spot 08435. So that is the euro. Looking across to the SPOs here. Yesterday, tricky one, we partially closed the gap. And the 39.15 is the top of this zone here. Really, providing great support yesterday, and, edging into that gap area, and then just bid up into what was this outstanding gap. This gap was open for about 6 to 8 months, I think, on the SPOs. And so now we're just kind of testing that, selling down. Technically, there's a bit of a gap here also on SPOs to the upside, but I'm not going to obsess about that. There's still business to be done on the downside to close this gap. I think if we fall back under 39.15s and close the gap, I don't think we're going to find many buyers there, and I think we're going to trade down and breach the lows of last week. So that's one thesis I have. So quite a big area here in the S&P to be looking at for us today. So yeah, I'm just not going to get too busy in this area. I mean, you definitely kind of wait for your time to pounce here. Then looking at oil, yeah, oil, as I was saying yesterday to the room, I think we're still, well, I mean, we are, as a fact, still waiting for the details of the sanctions on Russian oil from the EU. The German finance minister coming out yesterday and saying, why don't we just do it as a 26-member vote? Of course, then taking Hungary out of the democratic process. And, that's, I wouldn't say it's on the table, but it's certainly good to hear that from the German finance minister. And I don't know if the commission are going to kind of get into thinking about taking Hungary out of the democratic process there and just voting without them on the bans. But nonetheless, timing wise, it's looking like it's going to be another month until we get any details at all about what the EU ban and tariffs and sanctions will be on Russian oil and gas. So with that said, I think we can easily just stay in a range here, pretty much between, let's just take this off, pretty much between here and down on the invasion top, which was kind of in around here, right? So this whole sort of area here. So just kind of looking at that, your invasion top is on the July contract, N22 invasion top. 95.75. So you can see huge buying there 2 weeks ago coming in. Huge Trump buying there coming in on that level. So yeah, I think we're just, it's quite evident we're having problems with kind of, this huge volatility. Look, the average true range on the 14-day trailing period is still $10. Average daily true range on this, or the average daily range is 9.83. And here we go with the SPOOs now breaking down as I'm talking. But really, I think we can just work back down in the range here for oil. Sellers on 110s down into, probably trying to find some buyers 107s and below. So I think we're just stuck in that range for probably the next 4 weeks, notwithstanding headline risk. So here you see the SPOOs back to test on the gap top. Right now, we've been here so many times between yesterday and today. We've been here so many times, but with the risk is being built into this market. The Bund is holding on highs of day, as is T-notes in the background. I think is this the time? I don't know. I have a rule that I don't initiate any new trades between 9:30 and 1 o'clock. So well, probably 12:30. So I'm not going to start chasing this and playing for the breakdown on this or the breakout to the downside. So that's it really for a shortened version of the pre-US session for today. Please do click to link here and subscribe, and have a good session, and I'll see the guys in the room at 1 o'clock. Cheers.